recording. So shall I introduce the whole thing?
Oh, you can, but I wanted first to say that this was a blab planned for after the show on Google Hangouts. But as we couldn't make it work today with the audio, we were always breaking up. I mean, Ros has a poor internet quality, but I was breaking up too, and you were breaking up too. So it was really a little bit a problem. So we went over to Blab, and instead of an after show Blab, we have a show Blab.
That's a show Blab. You guys are so hilarious. And you know, this is the beauty of have this experience as being a Hangout host, because we can manage everything. And even if the Google gods are putting thunder and wind and hail and sandstorms over us, we can find other solutions.
Oh, good. Okay, now you can start as if we were on Google Hangouts, if you want to, or we find another way of introduction.
Okay, here it goes. Welcome to Hangout on Connections, a forum for relationship, expressions, and healing. In this episode, number 84, we're going to do a sound journey moving from a predictable future and into uncertainty with Ros Betts. Connections forums offer insights and healing conversations about relationship, personal expressions, and self-development. And we want to give you the tools and inspirations to handle the issues which comes up for anyone sooner or later. You can also watch all past episodes on our replay site, hangoutonconnections.com. I'm Margarita Crystal Lotus, and I help stress professional women overcoming stress and struggle and discover their purpose in life and the business. As an intuitive mentor and healer, I love seeing my clients flourish as they experience transformational healing in their life. And my website is thecrystallotus.com. And now over to you, Heidi.
Yeah, I'm Heidi Hörnlein, or Adelheid Hörnlein, as I'm named here on Twitter too. And I'm Traviata. I'm a singer and a voice coach, and also later on in my life, a relationship coach, a life coach, and many other things. And for instance, a retreat host and a guest house owner. So we would love to have you come over to Italy and see us. And mainly, I'm a Hangout show host together with Margarita and with my husband, and we are doing there the Wisdom Factory. I think it's enough for that, Margarita, and I would like to introduce a little bit Ros. We will be talking about her journey, so I won't say too much, but I would like to say how I got to know her. Because in our shows, in the Connection show mainly, but also other shows where I was a watcher, I always saw her appear and write comments and so on and so on. And, you know, it was nice to connect with her and have comments back on the posts. And she was always present, and she became very visible. And probably some of you know that she is now the co-host from Melanie Hall. So she has done the jump into visibility. And I really wanted her to have her on our show and to talk about this journey. And here in Blab, I named the show Predictable Life or Self-Realization. So originally the title was A Sound Journey, moving from a predictable future into uncertainty. So, hello, Ros. We don't see you, but I think we can hear you. And can you tell us a little bit about this sound journey?
Yes. Hi, everyone, as well. Margarita. And I didn't speak on your show. Actually, the whole journey started way back through a marriage that's going on. We had started young, growing a business and a family at the same time. and we were actually working in, it started as sort of processing and bagging by hand and doing a lot of physical labour with that. And we could see that the future for that, although it was good, it was up to doing other things like concrete, pre-mixed concrete, earth moving and rock crushing, and it got to be a very busy lifestyle with that work and growing a business and family. It got very predictable in the way that work to do that my husband was nearly not home at all, and I just started to grow away in the things that I was growing into needing for myself. I'd volunteered as an ambulance officer for 7 years, and while looking after the children, and that was a fairly heavy workload just on the volunteer side of it. Then I grew an interest in helping others as a certificate 4 here in Australia.
No, she's gone here too.
She's well. Heidi, you know a little bit more about Ros than me. Do you have something that struck you as kind of unusual with her?
She was describing her whole life story. I bring it up. I cannot remember every little thing, but it struck me to read it. You know, it was so moving. And I think what she is living, and which many of us women are living, to go out of the predictability, that means of the structures we are so used to live in. You know, as a woman, you are a mother and you have children, and you help your husband in work. You know, it's more or less, even if you are a partner. But I remember too, I felt myself as a helper, more or less, you know, and often even without any payment, you know, because it was family money. And then when you divorce, the money is gone. So you are sort of treated. And here she comes back. And I have open here now her biography, and I could read that, Ros, if you are agreeing, and then we see what you can add to that. Okay.
That's a good idea.
Okay, so she has written to me that she said it's really interesting when setting oneself the task of writing a short biography for a guest role in a hangout. How much does one reveal about themselves and the depth of that revelation? To keep it short, Ros is a twin, or Rose, I don't know if Ros or Rose, is a twin who spent her younger years enjoying life on a farm. Riding the farm motorbikes, driving the old Holden, Ute and Land Rover around the paddocks, fetching up the cows to the milking shed, feeding calves, sheep and lots of other chores that are a part of farm living. In later years, after her own schooling, being a wife and mother at the same time, as establishing a business in organic fertilizer, then earth moving, concrete premix and rock crushing was an interesting and very full life. Included in that mix was involvement with school events as the 4 children grew and grew and grew, and church. Volunteering in various groups, that's what she was talking about before, within the very small town in South Australia was very satisfying, and eventually led to being involved as a volunteer ambulance officer with the South Australian Ambulance Service. Moving onward, life became so busy in a different direction that Ros decided it was best to divorce and live in her own strength to build a new life following her dreams. In the last 10 years, she has been practicing as a self-employed holistic massage therapist and a bookkeeper from her home. A very interesting adventure. Last year, Ros trained as an evolved practitioner of hypnotherapy and is now exploring this skill in more depth. It turned out to be perfect timing to have done the hypnotherapy training, as her health was about to give her a challenge. November last year, Ros had the experience of having a cancerous tumor removed from her colon and waking after the operation with a stoma and an ileostomy bag. I cannot pronounce that. With the reversal of the stoma and the ileostomy no longer needed, it was time to plan and rethink what the future held. Now, after being close to full recovery and no further cancer cells showing elsewhere, it is time to get back to growing a business again. With massage being too challenging to the body, hypnosis and sound therapy are it. And the bookkeeping. Continued study seems to be a mainstay in my life as the Australian regulations changed for bookkeepers, meaning that I needed to get qualified formally. Nearly there. The dreams are still being dreamed. Life is such a buzz to be living, and I wouldn't change anything. So that's what you have written to me, Ros.
Ros says that she can't either hear you or me, and so I said to her, just comment in the chat, and we can go see if it's improving. I mean, we are from broadcasting from Australia, by the way, you know.
Yeah, okay. I would say in this case that she should go out again. And I kick her out and she can come in again. Can you write it to her, please? Okay. So I would invite people who have a similar experience and would share their experience. I mean, life is such a journey. I can relate to many of these things, which Ros was saying. They were maybe a little different in timing. I did schooling first for a long time, and then my experience in countryside was when I was about 35, and I worked with sheep and got involved into the beauty of nature, the beauty and also the horrendous part of nature. It's not everything nice and beautiful. There is...
You have dogs there, right? There she is.
No, actually, this was the dying cat. She is vomiting.
Oh.
You know, this is part of nature, which is really hard on, you know. You live with animals and they get ill and they die, and nature is not what you see in picture books, you know. So, Ros, can you speak now and hear us? Oh, gosh.
I don't think it works. Well, I mean, I live also almost like a farm country estate here, what I'm going to call it, on lots of forest around. And the cat yesterday, my kitten, had a frenzy of bringing chipmunks into the porch while we had barbecue last night. and you know, like it was like a chipmunk haven, because the foxes and other predators come here to actually hunt chipmunks. So there's the hip chipmunk hunting grounds here. So I can relate to nature with the coyotes and coy wolves and other, you know, the vultures up top in the sky, right? So this is like, nature is not judgmental, but it is as it is. It's either you are following something that so that you can sustain yourself, or you're going to get eaten somehow. but it's always maintaining balance. And I don't think that nature is evil or actually is punishing anything. I think that nature needs to be in balance. And here we have her back again. We're never giving up, Ros.
Oh, try.
Okay.
Yeah.
But we are not sure if she is talking now because she. Okay. Now your audio only again. But let's try, and otherwise we reschedule the whole talk and we go on as a blab and invite other people in to just talk about the predictability of life or self-realization. And I would add, as we were talking about nature, the more we go inside our houses, keep everything clean and tight, and live only with the computers, we have a certain predictability, because we seem to be independent from nature. We seem to not need to be cold or hot because we have all sorts of machines. But this is not really predictability. As you see now, the technology sometimes doesn't work, for what reason ever. In nature, the unpredictability. Yeah, my tongue, I have to turn it around. Is so much, it's so much bigger. You don't know who comes around around the corner. I mean, here we have wild pigs and we have porcospino, what is porcupines and things. They don't do anything. But I want to say, when you, for instance, live in other countries where real wild animals come around, you have a bear or a lion or wherever you are in your backyard. So you just cannot be have a safe life as everybody wishes so far, so strongly. And I think the best thing would be if we accept that life is not predictable, that we save our energies for making it as predictable as possible and put the energy in the creativity and in the development. So let's see if Ros can speak.
We heard a yes, at least.
Yeah. Can you lip read?
This is awesome. We have a yes from Australia. That's very good.
Okay. Wait, Tegra. That's I do know the name, but can't remember it.
Ros, I think we really have to give up because we cannot get one complete sentence of you. This is really difficult. You might need to figure out about your internet connection and what Vivek says about seeing what is going on in the background, if there is uploading or uploading and better uploading. Downloading is not so important in this case. What is going on in the background, if you have self-uploading programs running and things like that. And you might also figure out, do the speed tests for some days and different times of the day. So we figure out what time of the day is the best time where you have most internet. You can do it for a week or so to find out if there is a regularity in the drop down of the internet. Yeah. I thought Australia and America and Europe, we would be far enough with technology that these things don't happen, but they do. This is amazing.
Yeah. we have the latest NBN coming through. It's a national broadband network that is being put across the whole country. My area here is right in the process of that, and it may be something to do with it, but I don't know. It's going to be turned on at my place in the next 2 to 3 weeks. that may make a difference. But at the moment, it could be the modem, it could be the line, it could be anything. The technician will be here next Monday for that part of it. But at the moment, looks like it's not working very well. Definitely slow. And
at the moment we see you. At the moment we see you and we hear you, but it can be different in 2 seconds. So.
Yeah.
For the real show where we interview you, we will reschedule another date after you have your new internet connection, I think. And let's just invite other people to come in and talk about, and you stay as long as you can and as long as we can hear you.
I'll hop out and sit on the side.
Okay. So whoever wants to come in and talk with us about self-realization.
Well,
is it possible in a predictable life? Is it combinable or is it not? In my idea, it's not.
Well, I don't think we can predict it because self-realization is something that if you have it, then you're there. But how can you describe it? I mean, self-realization is something like in the Buddhist faith that you become a Buddha, right? And how many Buddhas are there? We don't know. And when you reach that area, would you be on Blab?
No, I would say it more in a developmental sense and not so much in the spiritual sense, which is part of it, but with self-development. And in the case of what we were talking a little bit about before, it was the role of women to stay at home, have children, and help their husbands, and this was for sure not a self-realization because it was being inside of a role. And we began to step out of it. Some individuals did it already 100, 200 years ago, but as a whole, let's say the whole culture in the West, we began in the 60s to try to find our purpose in life. No, we wanted to know why we are here. Yeah, children is fine, but time ago, after the children were born.
I think, Heidi, your cat is influencing you. She has a cat there that is in the dying moments, right?
Yeah. So, no, I wanted to say, after the children are born and grown up, normally women felt superfluous because they thought this was their unique task in life. And often, I mean, with 50, once you were old, when you entered into menopause, you thought, now you are done. No? And today it's different. Today life has become longer and we need to find something else. Some women choose, like I have, and I think Margarita, you too, not to have children at all, but try to find out what is our place in this world. And other women, like Barbara Max Hubbard, she is a big example. No? I think she has 4 or 5 children. Hi. And has become the great woman for spirituality, for cosmology, she's bringing all this knowledge into the world. She is really, I don't know if you know her, Barbara Max Hubbard. Yeah. She is really, really, really great in doing that. And she did it after her children. And today it's that we are sort of in between as women. This is the women's part. Men have a different story. They thought their self-actualization is uniquely in their career, getting better, earning a lot of money and all this. This was an equal role and still is for a big part, but which is not them. So we have now a specialist in spirituality.
Vivek, welcome. We love you.
Yeah, let's see what you are saying here.
No sound.
No sound.
I can read a comment that he said. So when somebody reaches self-realization, the person would use all means of communication to help others reach self-realization also.
Okay, so let's see if he can speak. Maybe it's the seat down here which is
well, it's jinx. He is a
Go out and
technical
come
man,
in
you know.
again.
He's a technical
He
man.
is the tech guru.
So,
And this is not the fault of Google this time. We cannot say there are Google gremlins today. I mean, today maybe, but not here. Okay, let's see.
well, we can always blame another person, but that's not our responsibility. And then we're going to get that karma back.
Let's see if we hear him. He doesn't say anything.
He is coming from a place of silence. That's a huge mastery. How did you do that, Vivek? I mean, I know you're from India, and it is like such an amazing thing to think that the silence is communicated perfectly.
And he was saying about or using all means of communication, which is good. But here we are reduced to visual communication. So you have to do all sorts of, or language like this.
Okay, can you explain this with visual communication?
I think he's still trying to figure out what he can do.
So we can listen, we can see.
Somebody else, please come in and we see if this is...
we have a lot of fun here anyway.
Yeah, if it is dependent on us or... Please, somebody come in. Michael Young, for instance, come in and let's see if we can hear you when you come in.
I mean, this is rather interesting, and I find that when we have predictable life, predictable, this is not predictable, right?
Oh, and this is the other thing we could add here. We expect that everything is working. And I observe in myself that normally I expect that it's working, because I have to do that, blah, blah, blah. And then it doesn't work. And then I get angry. So
you don't want to be in her way when she is angry. I have talked with the mark.
No, I'm not angry today. Ha, ha, ha. We are laughing. I'm not angry today.
I have talked with Mark behind your back, I think. Oh, yeah. We recorded it. You remember that?
Let's see if he's audible.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Ah, yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the silence is over.
You got realization on the audio level.
Finally.
Yes.
Okay.
Audio.
I was saying I don't quite agree with your definition of self-realization.
Who you?
Sorry?
Me or Margarita? Heidi. We have a different. Okay.
Because you were saying, I think what you were saying was self-realization, as in you were saying for women, it's at least for some of them, children, giving birth and so on and so forth. For men, it's career, making money, taking care of the women and wife, children, all that. I don't agree. That is that's not really realization. That's not.
No. No.
I'm
agreeing with you. I didn't say that. I say that were the roles where we were not self-realized, where we are responding to rules, society rules, which we try to fulfill. And this is not self-realization. Self-realization begins when you go out of this predictable life.
Yeah.
Where everything was clear, and then it's not predictable anymore, but self-realization can begin to happen. That's what I said. Maybe it was not clear enough.
I think I would say that before you actually become self-realized, it becomes changing, unpredictable. That's a kind of threshold. But once you cross that threshold, go to the okay, if you want to call it that, other side of being, at least to a certain extent, self-realized. At that, when you cross that limit, then things become stable. Things become, because you will find, at least that's what my understanding is. Once you cross that threshold, you'll find you probably will see. I mean, okay, to give an example, in the Star Wars movie, for example, they talk about the Force, and the Force, the Jedi Master can kind of predict what's going to happen next. That is not because of something strange happening. It's because they are in tune, perfectly in tune with the universe. So they kind of in advance know where this is going, whatever that is, where life is going, where the situation is leading, ahead of everyone else. So
I don't know if I understand you right, but you say when you are in this confidence that life is leading you,
no.
that
Once you cross the, you said self-realization happens when things become unpredictable. What I'm saying is, yes, they become unpredictable up to a certain stage.
Okay.
And that is the kind of you kind of reach the maximum. Things are unstable, can't predict what's happening. But once you cross that limit and you start the process of self-realization, then you will see what's happening. You would see the things that are going to happen. That would increase your vision. That would increase your intuition. That would increase your visualization. All of that. So I think. And there was a comment saying a self-realized person probably would not come into the blab. Probably that person would.
Okay, so I take back that, and I think that must be a super realized person who actually have that opinion. And it is. I have a question for you, Vivek, and that is there degrees of self-realization?
Yes.
I mean, can you explain that? Because you're probably closer to that topic than we are.
Can I interfere just a moment? I think we should really, we are talking about different interpretations of the word self-realization. I had a different meaning than you. Vivek, you are talking more about the spiritual self-realization, and this is okay.
Yeah.
I was talking more about the personal growing up self-realization. So, okay.
Oh. Even that, even what you're talking about, even the non-spiritual realization, if you want to, self-realization, it's even that once you reach the peak of that, you would see that. Well, one example would be, okay, I mean, this is one a spiritual leader was saying, okay, let's say I make you the emperor of planet Earth. I make you the most powerful person on the planet. Would you be happy? No. you would still want to expand further. You would start looking at the next planet. You would probably want to next expand further to Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, whatever.
So where on this plan are you? Are you on Jupiter or Saturn or the Andromeda Galaxy?
No. The point I was making was human spirit has a inbuilt tendency. It has a very powerful need to expand, a very powerful need to extend itself, powerful need to be more than what they already are. So even if someone suddenly makes you the most powerful living being on planet Earth, you would still want to achieve something more, because because all of that, making you most powerful person, actually makes you a most powerful person over physical, materialistic things, whereas spiritual is very different.
I would say what you are naming here, this is in my Wilburys language, is eros. We have eros, the drive ahead. And this is not only what you say, it's also in spiritual, because there is no personal development to a high level without spirituality, you know. But many people think you can only develop in spiritual ways, but you still as a person are on low levels. And this is not working. You are not fully realized when you are not on your highest level in both. Let's say, you know, only spiritual realization leads to people, spiritual teachers who abuse their students, who go into war against, preaching.
Whoever is abusing anything else is not really spiritually realized. They may pretend they are, they may think that they are, but they are not. They cannot be. Because with the spiritual realization comes compassion. With that comes love for every living being. With that comes love for even inanimate. Even stuff, things which don't live but part of the material stuff. Things like pen, paper. Mm-hmm. They realize that all of that is part of
crystals.
Yes.
We always aspire to all kinds of higher things, and that's what I get from you, Vivek. That if we have attained one level, we want more, right?
Yeah.
But go ahead.
And this is true. But the thing is, in spiritual realization, I know that there are 5 stages which you can realize, and then you are really realized when you go over to the non-duality, and people are there. You know, they can live big parts of their life there. Very few, but they can. They are spiritually realized, but as a human being, they can still be like a child. They can still not be grown up. And so the modern conception of enlightenment is that you need to be completely, when you want to be completely enlightened, you need to have the spiritual realization complete, but you must also be on the highest possible level of personal development, and you cannot be anymore, getting up from your meditation cushion where you were in bliss and everything, and then go and be an insurance agent and try to get something out of people. You cannot do that anymore. I mean, this is a little bit extreme, but many little things.
Really extreme.
Yeah, even, lying to other people for commodity, or just going in a higher realm to know, for instance, now there are thousands and thousands, hundreds of thousands of refugees, and not doing anything. And you cannot do for everything. There is the rainforest which needs help. There is that which needs help. This, and you couldn't go in cars anymore and in airplanes because you poison the earth. So you always have to you can never do the absolute in real human life, And then if you just do it without even noticing it, then you for sure are not grown up very much. But when you are very aware that whenever you take a car, you are poisoning the landscape, but then you have a value system and you do a checkup. What is more important? That I go, for instance, for me, this is a banal thing, but before I grew my own vegetable here and was organic, everything. Now I don't. To go to buy organic things, I would go 60 kilometers in car. But when I get fresh in the marketplace nearby, I get fresh vegetable where I don't know if it's organic or not. Probably not. So for me, the value is not to go 60 kilometers and poison the air, but eat non-organic vegetables. So I want to say there is a value discussion here, You cannot do it all right, let's say, Yeah. It's no perfection in human life, even if we try to, but we don't arrive there. It's a continuous.
So I want to bring back the question here for the predictable life or self-realization. So Heidi, when you put that title in there, it's sort of not, I don't understand that question exactly, but it's like a Pandora's box, right?
Okay, for me was, from my own experience and from what I see and read and so on, as long as you are living in a narrow scheme of how life should go and do everything to make it go in this way, this is for me a predictable life. You know what you do in 2 years and you will know what you do. At least you have these plans, and do everything that these plans work out. This for me is a predictable life. And in former generations, for a woman was a predictable life. Get married, hopefully early, because otherwise you were too old and so. And then you have children, and then you have grandchildren, and then you die, sort of that. And you didn't have a lot of other things. This is a predictable life. Inside of this life, it is very hard to get into a sense of self. Some people succeeded, but there are exceptions for me, Normally, there are so many forces which compress you, inclusive your own, because you have the idea you have to do that, and this is the right thing, to be a good wife, a good grandma, and be sacrificing your life for others, This is your own idea, and this makes it predictable. And then might come some shock, and then you are out of blah, blah, out of everything. And for me, these bad experiences like cancer, Ros talked about cancer, and many people with a severe illness, for many people, not for all, for many people were that the moment when they sort of woke up and said, oh, what I did so far, is it really what I am meant to do? What is my purpose on earth? And from that on, when you begin with the research, what is mine and what is the part that others have instilled on me or pushed on me and society altogether, when we begin to sort that out, then life is not predictable anymore.
Yeah, it's what you were saying. There was also, as civilized people, we tend to forget that we are going to die one day. That is, as per one of the spiritual leaders that I follow, what he says is every half an hour you should sit for 2 seconds and think that, okay, you're going to die one day. When you realize, when you keep reminding yourself every half an hour that I'm not going to be alive for hundreds of years, I'm going to die one day. If we keep reminding ourselves that, then you don't. He says that if you do that, then you don't need a severe traumatic experience like going through cancer. You don't need it to reach that. I mean, okay, this is not everything. There is more to life than just materialistic things. That's when you start on the process of self-realization.
We have a comment here from Breddels, and he made this beautiful comment, and he says, listening and watching some blabs like this one can be so intense that it feels rude to have to leave in the middle, but I still tiptoe out. Thank you all. How great is that?
Yeah.
Yeah,
it is.
I think that what we're talking about here, we don't really know exactly what the topic area is. But let's say if we have a life-changing situation, a challenge, then those challenges really make a difference in our life. Like I'm sure Ros had some of these experiences, and Heidi had. I think you had a bout with cancer at some point, right?
Awesome.
And I had some relationship issues that just, and then out of that chaos, then there are small little insights how we can actually deal with the future that we're about to enter in, right? So do you have one of those insights, Vivek, where you said, aha, that's it, you know?
Fortunately, no, I haven't had any traumatic thing happen to me for me to realize that life is more than just the body and the material stuff. But I think it has to do with my probably to do with my parents and the environment I grew up in, yeah, but I have been through financial problems, if you want to call it that. But
what made you? What insights did you have about yourself during that challenge?
During that challenge, what I kept feeling was that this is not why I should be here on the planet.
Wow, that's great. Do you see
I can't figure out why that thought kept coming to my mind.
Yeah.
But okay, I was, for example, I was writing software for something, and there are bugs, and sort them out, and okay. Problem gets solved, but then once I do that, and is that all?
But you know, you're just an example. You're just an example of how you have to do it. I mean, anyone on the planet needs these kind of realization, these small little steps that we can improve ourselves and find more meaning in life. I think this is the motivation for being self-realized, to be something better than we are. Because, you get feedback from other people. If you become a better person, my goodness, more people going to like you, right? or fewer people going to like you, but a small group of people are going to really like you.
Margarita, I want to interfere here. You know, I tried all my life to be very good. I had this false belief to not be good enough, you know, and you get really strange when you are trying to be better and better and better and better and better and better. You get a nuisance for other people, and you cannot accept that you have failed in something. You know, you get angry, you have to excuse yourself for every little thing which is not going like you think it should go. Often the others, you know, when I sang a concert, for instance, and people said, "Oh, wonderful," and so, and I said, "Yeah, but I failed there and there," you know. Gosh, so you
cut that, you know.
Perfectionism, trying to be perfect and better is very hindering in many ways. So
it can be. Yeah, I agree. I feel what you're saying, but that hindrance, that feeling that you need to work harder and do things in a better way, I would think that's what keeps us going. That's but you should not take the negative aspects. That's all.
No, it is. I'm happy that I had this false belief and this drive, because now I'm good in very many things. I have to say, some things I don't know at all. But you know, the liberation comes when you can let go of these things.
No, I would say
you become better in a different way. You can become better.
The liberation comes when you let go of the result.
No,
you
also of the drive.
And that's it. Don't expect anything in return. Don't results, if they are good, be happy. And
not only it's true what you say, but
it's
also
easy to say, difficult to do. But
yeah, for me, it's also to let go of this rigidity. To need to get better. When you make your life dependent, when you define yourself on becoming a better person, then it's not good. That it is innate in humans that we want to become better. I wouldn't even call it better, that we want to go ahead, you know, I would call it in this way. No? This is clear. But when we push it, let go of the pushing, I think, and allow the universe to draw you, let's say, in this way.
Yeah,
maybe.
I would say let go of the results. Let go of the result. Don't expect the results, or whatever results come, you accept it. That's what you get. So.
Okay. Hi, Jeremy. Come in. We have another of these discussions.
Yeah.
Yeah, letting go of. I mean, I know this is the spiritual teaching, and I do agree with it. When it is understood in the right way, you know, when you have a certain psychological tendency and you get preached, let go of, then these people see it as a permission not to do anything, you know, by other people, like, for instance, these ones who want to all the time be perfect, blah, 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 and run and push, for them, it's the right thing to say. For these people who have it already in their, you know, avoidance, they have the avoidance tendency, for them, it's not a good advice. You know what I mean? You cannot say it completely, because there are people with different tendencies.
Yeah, so it comes back to that point. I mean, one size will not fit everyone. One advice cannot be given to everyone. It's very specific to each individual. So
yeah. And, you know, I have studied quite a bit the Enneagram, where they have 9, or let's say 9 per 3, 27 types of people with different needs and different drives, let's say, you know. And this is important to know where you are, so you can avoid to think that you are growing up and spiritually growing up. Instead, you are going back, because often, I had a friend, and she was all with love and things and blah blah and easygoing, everything, and she was of a type where they don't take any. They are always, how to say, serene. They're always laughing, and but it's not their real being. This is their structure, their character structure. So for the talking about love, it was just what was reinforcing her character structure. And when it came about a real situation where I would have needed her love, it was a friend of mine, she just boom, so all the spiritual blah blah which she had told me all the time, it was inexistent anymore. It was just fitting her ego, let's say.
We have a comment here from Lon McClure, and he says, hello ladies and Vivek, listening in while I do some housework. Always enjoy your conversations. Thank you so much for that. Well, so should we bring this predictable life and self-realization topic to another level? What does that look like when we actually have been on that journey for a while? What can we do to solve this paradigm, the Pandora's box here, or the paradox here?
Do you have an idea?
My thinking is the journey. I always have the feeling that I don't know is the most important aspect.
Well, that's a humble attitude, and I admire you for that.
It's not just attitude. If we think that yes, we know what needs to happen, you need to do this. I know it all. Then I need to go and preach everybody, make everybody do that. No, then that gives horrible results. That gives. That's when you have people like Hitler or any of those horrible people who you think they know and refuse to say that they don't really know. They refuse to agree that they probably don't really know, but.
Yeah, and for me, and as far as I know, the more you grow up and become more mature, not only in age, but really in these levels of development, the more you can say that you thought you knew, but the more you grow up, the less you know. And you can embrace
you realize there is a lot more to learn, a lot more to know.
And you won't learn it all about. There is so much mystery in life. You won't know it. You can strive to know it, to know more. Yeah, yes. But you will never know for sure. That is my idea. Never know for sure what it is. And what our task is in this situation is to become comfortable with that. Let go of the need to know, but just sense into what is right to do in the moment, instead of you don't always know why you do things, not just do them. Oh, it's the same. I don't know, so I do this or I do this. No, not in this way. But the decision must be informed by. Oh dear, how can I say that? I think by sort of, we are talking in the other show about listening, by listening into yourself and into what is in the field around you, what is needed and from you in this moment. And I think also the self-realization, when you go ahead, it's never that you can say, I'm that or I'm that, It is always floating, because it is sort of going a direction, but it is always influenced also from what is in the field. Mm-hmm. So you cannot plan to become that there. It just doesn't work like that.
I agree. Mm-hmm.
Well, it's so, like we can't predict it, right? So, and in a teacher I have, he says that we cannot do anything else than accept what's around us. If we accept it and deal with it, that's the time when then the inside beliefs and emotional triggers and all of that stuff, maybe you can manage that and then temper your ego a little bit about it, and then so that you don't go and react to all kinds of things or people or situations, whatnot. So then you become a better person. Mm-hmm. It's not that you actually thinking in that moment, I'm going to be a better person, that's why I'm doing this. That's the very wrong thing to do, right? But if you accept somebody who has another opinion about you or something, then that's a sign that we actually have a little bit more overview of what's going on in our reality.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and when you have, for instance, if somebody is talking bad about you, and you get angry, this is one thing. And when you begin to feel that it is sort of, you can hear it and look what is real on it, what might be true. Oh, maybe I have to look at that. Mm-hmm. And I will find out if this person has given me a valuable hint. Yeah. This is more mature, more grown up, I would say. Yeah, and we can learn these things for sure. Yeah. Letting go from impulsive behavior. This is why we have created all these rules in the major religions, because the impulsive behavior was destructive for humanity. So we needed a religion who said there is some God or somebody who will blah blah. So people wouldn't go out and do all these things like killing and stealing, and I mean they still do, but as a society it was banned then, and it was really, really good, because otherwise we would still live like nomads somewhere, and when we see everybody as an enemy.
Religion has had a really bad name these days.
For sure.
Yeah, we have seen that a lot more wars, lot more murders, lot more bad things have happened in the name of religion.
Yeah, but this is because people inside of the religion are people, and they are have certain mindsets, they have certain emotions and certain levels of maturity. And when they are not high in maturity, they do that, and then they have even a good excuse, because it's for God. So it's not my responsibility, So it's absurd, but it is so. And it really depends where you are. And religious, as we have them, the big religions, had really a very, very important role in growing societies. But when you have internalized these things, these moral requirements in you, and it's not anymore that you need to be reminded all the time of it, then you get tired of it. And that's, I think, why religion, when you grow up, you have to reject this, because we need an evolution of religions. We need Buddhism or Christian or Islam or whatever there is. We need it for the different levels of people. We need also in Christian religion, there, I think in America, there is this Unity Church. They seem to be a little less than all this stuff. I'm not really sure. I talk a little bit into the wind, but I know that we have all spiritual needs, and with traditional religions, these needs are hardly really filled. So religion in itself need to evolve, that they meet the needs of the people who evolve. As long as they tell me all the old stuff, and that I have to believe that Moses went over the sea and Mary had born as a virgin. As long as I have to believe that, you know, you say this all rubbish, you know, and you throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Literally.
So,
but you could see it as a metaphor on your level of development.
Oh yeah, you can
see it as a metaphor that's helpful for people who needs to believe something like that.
Absolutely, but I don't need to believe it anymore. So I cannot go into traditional church anymore and believe what the priest tells me there, you know? I need a different person who is talking about ethics, or it's talking about responsibility, about spiritual, mystical awareness and things like that. This is the way I would listen. And every religion has these possibilities to but who is teaching it? Very few of the traditional religions, you know? I mean, yes, Buddhism has always had this aspect very strongly, but they didn't have so much the aspect of the what we have in the Western world of the growing up, you know. So Buddhism together with Christian would be a perfect mixture in many ways. That's what I think, you know. But
well, there are fractions of Christianity, like the Gnostics and something like that, and then in the Muslim world, it's Islam. It's like, you know, people like Sufi and like the poet Rumi, which I adore. I mean, he lived 1,000 years ago, right? And that's a cultural treasure. To have this literature that Rumi has sort of overwhelmed America with, because it's his book sells, or his poem sells quite well, right? And
so
then,
it's exactly, Margarita. The need is there in the Western world because we were filled with dogma and with beliefs. And there is the direct experience. And when we can take them together, we need beliefs. In every stage of our life, we need some beliefs, but not necessarily the ones they tell you, you know. We need to believe, for instance, that tomorrow we will still be alive. Without that belief, it would be... Or when we go into the car, for instance, we need to believe that the other car doesn't run on our side. So we need beliefs. We cannot say no, beliefs are bad. No, we need them, but we need to choose which beliefs are the right ones for us. And as long as there's an institution who has the power and the requirement to tell you what you need to believe, and only that. No, and that's why it's against. Why people are against religion, no? That's
imposing your beliefs on someone else is always bad. Should never impose your beliefs onto someone else.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, that's only to answer your thing why people have it against religion. They have some people have it and some other people need religion in the way as it is still with law and order, you know. And I don't.
Well, this is so interesting to take this topic, predictable life or self-realization. It's like we've ended up on the little curved road here. And it's like really interesting what we come up with, right? And for myself, I have heard you, Vivek, here to explain some. I mean, you come from India, right? I come from Sweden, and Heidi from Germany, living in Italy. So we have like a cultural diversity, and what actually we do in the Hangout on Connection show is to actually bridge that and make connection over the borders, so that, I mean, we see that connections with others is the most beautiful thing that can happen, because if we have a connection with another person, then we can talk with them, we can communicate with them, and then we can bridge all those fragmental, compartmentalized areas that like nations fight with each other, right? It always need that personal contact to actually really make sure that we see another person and then see that it is a person with the beating heart in there. They have something to say. Maybe our language is not the right one. And so maybe the realization here is to actually realize that first. Because then the world becomes better. It becomes a world with friends instead of enemies. So, and then even though we can't predict it, at least that's a more pleasant experience than being in a war zone with grenades and having to run for your life and be a refugee, right?
And that's why we are doing this. I mean, for myself, it's nice to talk with you, do the show as we do with Margarita, but for me, it's really about creating this connection between people we have never seen before. Otherwise, we would never meet. I have written 2 blog posts on my website about that because I'm excited about, first of all, at the beginning, there were the telephone group calls, the tele something, I forgot now it was called. And then we have Google Hangout, and then Skype, then Google Hangouts, and now also this, what else? So perfect,
these are all new tools. Yes.
And they will create the connection. They will create that, what Margarita said, that we feel that the other person is like us, more or less. They have some other language, some other things, but they are people. And as soon as you see in the other person, a peer, you cannot kill them anymore. I mean, in war, you can kill them because, first you have the order and these are the enemies and these are the bad ones. And then you can sort of convince yourself that this is true and then you can do it. But as soon as you have the direct eye into eye encounter, you cannot. You just cannot. Or you are psychologically really ill in some way. You have had a trauma and some really problem. But as a normal person, you would never do that anymore, So,
well, that brings us back to nature, where we started to talk about in the beginning, right? Nature always wants to balance levels. So if there is extreme, like war zones, the nature will always trying to balance that. If there is very much aggression, then it's something underneath here, and then it's shifting.
Here is an interesting question. Do you think Mother Nature is trying to reduce the number of people on planet Earth?
I think that really,
because we have the people are as people, we are in a way destroying the planet. So
we are destroying ourselves. I mean, the planet can just have a massive earthquake and destroy the civilization in one stroke if it wants, right? And then it can sink the water and have floods. We've heard that many times over the history of the earth. But we are poisoning ourselves. This is what's happening. We are killing ourselves. That's nothing to do with nature, because we're in such a dissonance with numbers of wars on the planet, and all these forces who wages this side versus this side, and we want to fight with each other. Let's decide not to do that.
Yeah, Margarita, I want to put some gasoline into the fire. We are also nature, and nature is maybe exploring what it can do with us. Maybe that we find a way. There is Eva Saturis, I think it's her name. She is a biologist, and she studies cell behavior. And she says in a lower level, the atoms first sort of fight each other, and then they decide fight doesn't work, so we grow together, we become a molecule. And then they sort of fight each other, and then they say, oh, better we create cells, and so on, and so on, and so on. And she describes it in many, many levels, that this is the normal behavior of living entities, that for a long time, as long as they can, they sort of are in contrast. And then when they find out that it's just not working, the cells decide we better create a liver together, or the same cells could also create a lung, or they could create I don't know what, a heart, but they decide now we collaborate and we create that together. And this makes so much sense. And maybe humans are like cells, Humans for a long time need to fight and see until they finally understand that it's better collaborate and create something bigger together. And I think the tendencies are here. What we are doing, what others are doing, trying to step up a level, and trying to get all these wonderful capacities, which everybody of us has, get them all together and create a whole picture. And for me, we might be part of Mother Earth or part of Spirit who is doing that, And everybody, this ties together in the self-realization and your sense, why I am here. When we find out why we are here, we can collaborate, give our gifts, and do just this little thing, what we are meant to do, and not this enormous, what the mind thinks it needs to do.
Well, we have engaged 26 people here during this hangout or this Blabs session here. So hopefully that's going to be the rings on the water, that if they took just one little snippet of that and bring that into the day, then all the people who meet in that day have also that mindset or that little nice tip or inspiration. So this is amazing that it can happen like that.
Yeah, and that's obviously why many of us are here, to plant the little seed or to water the seed or whatever it's in the moment for who is listening. And we get it back too. Our little seed gets some water too and can grow a little bit. So it seems to be the case. At least for me, it is so. For me, it was that I began to understand when I develop myself, I can do my part in the world. And I don't do it only for me, but I do it for the whole thing, for the whole cosmos, let's say. From then on, I had my permission to do it. I could do it. Before, when it was egocentric, only for me, it was like forbidden,
I mean, I agree with you, Heidi. You are very selfless, and being selfless is a good thing, I think, because
but you cannot decide to be it. You must grow into that.
You have
stage.
To grow into it, definitely. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, I think self-realization is on its way in all of us, if we want or if we don't want to. It is just, for some people, when they oppose themselves, it may take much longer. And when we are open to it, it can be a little bit quicker. And when we overcome the blocks, I think this is the main thing what we are doing also in our work, Margarita,
yes,
to help people and ourselves to overcome these blocks on the road. So
I must say, I want to thank you, Heidi, because we went together maybe almost 2 years ago in November. And then we said, okay, let's do something with something. And then we got into the Hangouts, and this is the 84th session, right, today, which we moved over here, right? And this is so amazing. Almost every week we've done this. So I'm very proud of us, actually. And Vivek, you've been a great guest in our show and here as well.
Thank you for having me and sharing all your thoughts. And
we do it again. I'm excited about this platform, and we have enough to talk about, haven't we?
Yeah.
Okay, we will stop for today, and next week Hangout on Connections on Hangouts will be again. But then we will do the after show, as this one was the concept of being after the show, and we will do that on Blab too. Hopefully, we will see. Okay, Margarita?
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Vivek.
Yeah,
thank you,
you.
Margarita. And thank you, everybody who has listened and is still here and has been here. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.